The iQOO 3 is the most affordable Snapdragon 865 touring smartphone in the current Indian market, and it also has a ton of special gaming related features. So are these just gimmicks, or do they really help out if you're a gamer looking to buy a spec heavy smartphone without torturing your wallet? Let's find out in today's video. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and if you do end up liking what you see here, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's now get started. So let's kick things off with the most obvious feature on the iQOO 3, these two shoulder buttons. Of course, the most common use of them is as triggers in games like PUBG, and we will get to PUBG in a bit. First, let's take a peek at what else they can do outside of games. So first up, pressing the top trigger button along with the AI button to the left switches us into monster mode. Now this isn't technically anything related to gaming, but more of a performance profile. We can see that the icons change their theme, and if we go into settings, battery and monster mode, it tells us that enabling this would increase the CPU frequency and overall system performance at the cost of increased battery drain and also heat production. So monster mode might be worth turning on if you're going to be playing something that is graphically demanding. And oh, by the way, if you don't want to mess around with the buttons, there's a quick action toggle for this one as well. Now there's one more interesting thing that can be done with the software triggers. Pressing on them both at once opens up game space. This is kind of like the armory crate that we saw with the ROG Phone 2. We have all our games arranged in the form of cards. We can swipe left or right to shuffle through them and choose the one that we want to play. Up top, we have the CPU, GPU and temperature monitors, and also the game data button. Tapping on that brings us to this screen where we get a detailed breakdown of how much time we've spent in what game. It also tells us how much data has been utilized by our games. Overall, the detailed data breakdown here kind of reminds me of digital well-being from Google, but this one is geared specifically towards gamers. Next up, we have Ultra Game Mode. This can be toggled from the notification shade or found as a separate option in settings. Inside Ultra Game Mode, we have sound localization training. It's pretty useful if you want to get better at PUBG since it trains your ears to spot different footsteps and gunshots. Next up, we have Game Assistant. There's a couple of options in here, but we'll get to them once we are inside a game. Next, we can toggle if we want to receive calls in the background when we are in a game. After that, we have the option to block notifications as well as reject calls. There's an esports and ultimate esports mode. What they do is basically minimize all distractions and optimize the system for the best gameplay experience possible. Moving down the list, we have Eagle Eye Enhancement. This gives us more saturated contrasty colors in game so that enemies are easier to spot. We have Game Countdown that reminds us if we are queued for a match and the game is minimized. Unfortunately, this countdown timer only works with PUBG and Arena of Valor as of now. 4D game vibration simulates gunfire and shots with an added feedback, though to be fair, we can't use the shoulder buttons when it's enabled, so we kept it off for most of the time. Following that, we have a few options that are basically self-explanatory: disable automatic Wi-Fi connection, brightness lock, and prevent accidental touches. We can switch off the AI and shoulder buttons through this option. Next up, we have off-screen autoplay. Basically, this ensures that the game continues playing even if the screen is switched off. The next option, when toggled on, makes sure that we hit a constant frame rate by reducing graphical quality when needed. And the final one allows us to open a pop-up floating window for messaging services. This is done using a 3-finger swipe, and all incoming messages also come up as a pop-up window. So these were all the options we have for PUBG. As mentioned before, some options are game specific, so if we swipe through the games on the bottom here, the options that Ultra Gaming Mode provides continue to change. Okay, let's now jump into PUBG and take a look at the game interface. We receive this confirmation dialog box that tells us what system improvements have been made. That 180Hz touch sampling rate really does feel great, especially in first-person shooters. Anyway, let's hit confirm and the game assistant disappears into this tiny pull-out button to the left. From here, we can control many of the same features that we had inside Ultra Gaming Mode. So let's skip over those and instead take a look at these new features. First up, we can change our voice using the voice changer. Great if you're looking to have some fun or protect your identity while playing games. At the bottom, we have the options to set up off-screen gaming and click a screenshot. Okay, so there is one button I skipped over, and that's this one. This lets us customize the trigger button denoted on screen by A and B. Here on the control settings menu, we can map these buttons to whatever we want. Personally, I mapped them to aiming down sights and shooting respectively. I then tried it out in a couple of games and it worked perfectly. Now, of course, a gaming focused video would be pretty incomplete without testing out some actual gameplay. So we tried PUBG at balanced extreme and damn, the gameplay was super smooth. Now I decided to give the GPU something a bit harder to run, so we bumped the settings up to HD and extreme frame rate, and still the iQOO 3 held up amazingly well. The controls felt snappy. Thanks to the 180Hz touch sampling, we felt confident flicking around. Overall, the experience was great, so after gaming for a while, we decided to check in on the temperatures. The max we hit was just 35 degrees near the camera module. That's on the back and 36 on the top of the touchscreen to the front. Next up was Call of Duty. Graphics was pinned at very high and frame rate set to max. As expected, we had no problems handling it. We didn't experience any stutter or lag. We checked the temperature again about half an hour of gaming. And hey, the temperature actually dropped. The max we recorded to the back was slightly above 34 degrees. Looks like the custom carbon fiber vapor cooling system being used by the iQOO 3 here is doing its job pretty well. Following that up with Fortnite, we played it at epic settings with 30 FPS. Now Fortnite is one of the most demanding games on mobile, and here at epic detail levels, the game did look gorgeous, especially on the 6.44-inch Super AMOLED screen, but at times we did notice some bits of micro stutter. I don't really know if that can be caught on camera, but we did feel them when panning around too fast. That being said, it was a pretty rare occurrence, and overall the gaming experience, it was still very playable. And this time the temperature did run up to 35 degrees, but that was the maximum we saw, and that too just on one part at the top of the display. It never felt hot to touch. And now with the trifecta of Battle Royale games completed, we decided to jump into Asphalt 8. This is one of the most demanding racing titles on Android. Of course, we played it at high graphics. As expected, the gameplay here was again very smooth. We experienced no hiccups whatsoever. After playing it for a while, we recorded temps, and it hit a maximum of just 33 degrees Celsius. Finally, we wrap things up with Ace Force Joint Combat. Now this is a game that supports 90Hz refresh rates. Yes, the iQOO 3 doesn't have that, but we wanted to see if we could spot a difference with the 180Hz touch sampling rate here. Well, the game did feel a bit snappier and responsive than what we'd experienced before with phones sporting lower touch sampling rates. That being said, the visuals do feel more fluid on 90Hz or other high refresh rate panels. Anyway, wrapping this one up, last time temps, again they remained at a max of 33 degrees Celsius. So that's been it for this quick little video. Summing it up, the iQOO 3 delivers an excellent gaming experience with that Snapdragon 865 and Adreno 640, has no problems handling even the most demanding of games. The most impressive part of it all, that must be the heat dissipation system inside this phone. It never even crossed 40 degrees Celsius, which is an amazing feat for an 865 powered phone. So if you are a dedicated mobile gamer and don't mind sacrificing the high refresh rate screen, then the iQOO 3 is definitely worth looking into. It's got flagship specs, a big responsive AMOLED panel, and a 4440 mAh battery that should be enough to fuel most gaming sessions. So that's been my 2 cents. Now I want to know what your thoughts are. Do you own an iQOO 3 or are you interested in buying one? Let me know your thoughts and experience in the comments below. And with that, we get to the end of this video. If you do end up liking it, then please hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.